Darius, we didn't get the dogs today, but we got a brand new intro
So good.
that I'm pretty big fan of. Also, what are we doing here today? It's AI. It's AI day. I wanted to do my best robot impression, which is not very good.
I'm going to leave that to you.
AI day. We have a blog post that you published hours ago, minutes ago, about building an interactive video transcript with the help of AI and webhooks, Mux webhooks. So we're gonna go through that today. But first, how are you?
It's a sleepy, cozy, rainy Thursday here in Chicago. I'm just kind of vibing with it, ready to settle in, do some code, enjoy my afternoon. How are you?
I'm glad to be on this call with you today. This video
There's
live.
no place I would rather be.
Oh my gosh, that means the world to me. Look, here's something I want to talk about right out of the gate. Um, AI. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's a little skeptical about it as well. Like, and I think that's okay. Like, I think it's okay to call out up front that we are still, even like, I don't know, a year or 2 years past the first time my mind was blown with like the image generation, like from that was, I forget what it was called, like Crayon or something like that, that I first saw, that I
Mhm.
typed in Shaq climbing a ladder in Home Depot, and it like put a blob out of kind of looked like a Home Depot and kind of looked like a big guy on a ladder, and my mind was blown. But it was, and it like, it was kind of like the, mentally drawing the picture for me, but it wasn't very accurate. And we see these kind of step improvements, maybe month over month, or I don't know, maybe the quarter over quarter of the results from these things. But we're still in the early stages of
Mhm.
what it means to have any kind of like meaningful AI integration. And that's okay to me. I'm gonna get off my soapbox in a minute. That's okay. Like, I think that we're still in a stage where it's important to understand how all of this stuff like theoretically kind of works, so that we can build out solutions that, if and as things continue to improve, we're pretty well equipped to build in these meaningful and reliable and predictable solutions into the apps that we're building.
Have you ever heard of? I'm obsessed with this. I've probably told you about this before. Have you ever heard of the Gartner hype curve?
No, tell me more.
There's this analytics something or other business company firm thing that takes a look at emerging technologies, and one of their ways of evaluating emerging technologies is what they call the hype curve. Actually, if you could Google it really quick, pull up a picture.
I can't
Super
spell that.
helpful.
That sounded hard.
Gartner. I think
Gartner
about, yeah, hype curve.
hype curve.
Yeah, that's it. I think about AI a lot like I think about this curve. So when you see this new technology, like actually the first time I played with ChatGPT, it was like, wow, what a cool demo. And then I feel like a lot of tech right now, especially out in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, is getting really, really excited about what they see as this future. And they have this like huge, enormous, like endless well of expectations for how it's going to change the world. But then like as more and more people play with this technology, more and more people go through the excitement, they find the limitations of the technology. With ChatGPT, for example, just all these tools, Claude, so on and so forth. It's hallucinations, right? This stuff very confidently makes up
Yep.
things all the time. And as more and more people run into these limitations, they start realizing that the technology doesn't actually match up with the expectations. And they go into what's called the trough of disillusionment.
Here we
They
are.
see all this hype of the technology and they're like, wait a second, it's not living up to the hype. Maybe it's useless. And the really good technologies are the ones that make it out of the trough of disillusionment to the plateau of productivity. And the idea of the plateau of productivity is we thought this technology would solve all of our problems. But in fact, it solves some of our problems. As we spend more and more time with it, we realize what a technology is good at solving and what a technology is not good at solving. And there's a small set of problems that all of a sudden become easier to solve with the new technology. We're currently riding this hype curve with AI. And what I really thought about a lot while I wrote this blog post was what is going to stick from AI? What is AI actually good at doing. We're throwing all this spaghetti at the wall. What meatball is going to stay hanging? And I suspect that meatball is going to be related to, and this is kind of broad, it's going to be related to to text, to audio, or to video, and it's going to be related to some sort of process that keeps humans in the loop, where we can collaborate with AI rather than it replacing us. That's a really big, lofty idea. Maybe instead of dealing in philosophy, though, we should talk about interactive video transcripts, which is probably a lot more of a solid application of AI. Let's explore these ideas through a small project, I think.
Yeah, I do think that we could spend probably a whole series, honestly, on like what is the future of this application look like, and where are we on that curve even. That's for another day. I do want to just continue to be experimental and throw meatballs at the wall, I guess. I hadn't heard that one before. I wasn't expecting for my stomach to churn just a little bit on this live stream with a sticky meatball. But we are going to continue on and build through what you are describing as an interactive video transcript.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm actually, like you alluded to, I'm definitely one of the AI skeptics. I think there's, it's huge expectations, and I think the technology might not live up to those expectations. Or I'm wrong. Maybe we're going towards consciousness that we're whatever. What I really wanted to, that being said, I was building a feature for our blog, and I found myself time and time again reaching for AI to solve my problems. And it's not like I was looking for a problem that was in the shape of AI solution. I just had a problem, and AI happened to be the best solution for the job. We want to create this experience right here that you're looking at. On our blog, we have a lot of videos, and we want a way to translate those videos into text so that people can enjoy them either by watching them or by reading them. This is good for accessibility. Somebody who doesn't want to read the subtitles will be able to read through a blog post. This is good for lazy people like me. If I don't want to watch a video and I just want to scan a blog post, I can scan it. And this is really good for search engine optimization. Google, okay, it can kind of watch your video, but Google can definitely read text. And so if you're Googling for something that pops up in a video, this text will serve that result. So we were building this transcript experience.
So walk me through just a high level of what I have to do to like use this thing as you've implemented it and designed it.
Yeah, this is an interactive video transcript. You could just have a video transcript where you have a video and we have the transcript beneath it, but we added a couple extra layers of interactivity. The video communicates with the transcript, and the transcript communicates with the video. So how does the video communicate with the transcript? As the video plays, you can see that the transcript's highlighting, right? The video is telling the transcript what to highlight. So that's how we communicate from video to transcript. Now, how do we communicate the other way around? When you click on the transcript, it jumps to that part of the video.
Okay, for somebody like me, this is like the way I want to experience a lot of video. Like I would love to be able to kind of visually scan through. In fact, even with podcasts, like when podcasts are transcribed, I'll listen to the audio, I'll listen to the audio maybe on a 2x or whatever, but I'll also find myself like actually reading faster than any of that because I have this, and I don't think this is unique to me, but like I think we have this ability to kind of like pick and part and cherry pick the things that are important to us or that we find interesting and be able to kind of like visually scan through those. And if something does catch my eye here, like, oh, I'm introducing who this neat guy Chris is right here. Let's jump straight to that point in the video and I can actually interact with that text. That's actually pretty sweet. Like I would love for this to be built into more sites in some way. And I don't know, maybe we should just start getting in here because we are going to try to recreate this to some extent, right? From scratch, with AI workflows, with Mux Player, and with you as my educator, because I don't know how this is working, man. Like you got to help me.
Happy to help.
You got to help me out here. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we could build this from the ground up, but then we'd definitely run over our time. So I think today we're really going to focus on the AI parts of the workflow. This is, if you want to know how to build one of these interactive transcripts, about a year ago, our colleague Christian wrote a really, really good blog post. And that blog post goes into code details of how to make the video communicate with the transcript, how to make the transcript communicate with the video and everything. Long story short, if you scroll down, I think, to the next code block, you can kind of get the idea of how this code works.
Yep.
Yep. So you've got a player and you've got a transcript. So when the player reaches a point in the transcript, wow. You know what? Let's scroll back to the previous code block.
Going up.
That's right. I think we need to cover some fundamentals first. So, Dave, do you know what a CuePoint is?
A CuePoint. I could take a cue. You didn't laugh. From the name there. But what I describe a CuePoint as is that in a certain point of time, it can identify or signify that something is happening. I think that's a little abstract, but like as it relates to the video world, as something is playing back, we're identifying that at a particular point in time on the timeline, we can associate some metadata with that point in time.
Nice. Yeah, we are a CuePoint as a way of attaching data to a certain time on your video. So this is just a way to define any sort of data in JavaScript, in any JSON object, and you're just attaching that data to points on your video. One application of CuePoints is chapters, for example. Like chapter 1 takes place from 0 to 10 minutes, right? So that is data, chapter 1, attached to a point, 0 to 10 minutes. The reason we're talking about CuePoints here is because we're using them. They are the underlying technology that makes this transcript possible. We are attaching cues to our video, and each cue is what is being said in this video at this time.
Yeah. So, and I like this little like example that you've mentioned here as well with this Amazon X-ray feature. That is sort of at certain points in the scene, it's able to represent that certain actors are appearing in that scene with that metadata. And so when you're watching, maybe you've seen that, maybe you haven't on the Amazon playback experience, but as the video plays back, you can pause or maybe like somehow enter a screen that represents in that particular scene who is in it. And so that just kind of shows like, this doesn't have to be just chapters. It doesn't have to be just even related to what we're talking about today, transcripts. This is like a very amorphous thing that you can implement to meet your business needs. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, exactly. You can attach literally anything. Or the other example that we mentioned there is that you can attach questions to certain points on an educational video. Now, CuePoints attaching data to videos, that's a little bit abstract. Why are CuePoints useful? Why are they magical? CuePoints let you sync stuff outside your video with your video. They let you sync your UI to your video. And there's kind of two tools that you can use to sync your CuePoints to your video. The first is actually, I think, a little bit higher up in that blog post. There's... lower. Between the two code blocks. One of my least favorite things in in video in general is having to speak out code. So
what are we looking for?
So in the what I was looking for was the on CuePoint change event.
Let's just do a quick on CuePoint change event.
Yeah, at the very top, the first instance of that. Or maybe it's just CuePoint change.
CuePoint change.
Yeah. Riveting radio.
I tell you.
That's right. There it is. That's the paragraph I was looking for. So we attach this data to our video, and we want to sync our UI to that data. We have two tools to do that. The first is we can ask the video, hey, what CuePoint's active right now? This is how Amazon X-ray works. When you bring up X-ray asks the videos, hey, what actors are on this scene right now? So that's player element dot active CuePoint. That first little code bit there.
Yep.
The second tool that we have, we can ask the video what's on screen right now, and we can listen to the video, and the video will tell us, hey, there's a new cue point. Hey, there's a new cue point. Hey, a new actor just came into screen. Do you want to let your viewer know? Hey, a new line of your transcript just came into scene. Do you want to update your transcript UI? Stuff like that. So we have two tools. We can listen and we can ask. Okay, so we've done CuePoint fundamentals. Now that we have these two tools, we can implement a transcript. So the first bit is actually what I just mentioned, right? When the cue point changes, we want to update what part of the transcript is highlighted. So I've got a little bit of like pseudocode here. You can see Mux player says on cue point change. Yeah, Mux player on cue point change. Yeah, it updates the active cue point, and the transcript is listening to the active cue point.
Yeah, so these kind of just communicate with one another.
Exactly.
Two components, two-way radio. Some of them, sometimes they're talking, sometimes they're listening. It's like, any kind of normal conversation. So I like this. So okay, all right, let's take a moment here. What does this have to do with AI?
Really good question. I wanted to cover the fundamentals of how you build an interactive transcript with cue points before we jump into the AI. This transcript, everything that I described here can get you pretty far. Like, we know how to do the code, we know how to work with cue points, and I just wanted to quickly gloss over that before we jump into the AI. If you're actually implementing this, definitely check out Christian's post from last year. What do we do with AI though? There's a couple questions that we haven't answered yet that I think we need to reach for AI for. 3 questions actually. The first is, where does this transcript come from? The second is, who is speaking? And the third is, how do we make this legible? So when we have this nice transcript experience, like, that text has to come from somewhere. And one of the best ways to generate text in our new AI-powered future is to have an AI model listen to your video and generate a transcript. And lucky for us, Mux actually has this built in with our auto-generated captions. We can use Mux's auto-generated captions to create the text of the video really, really easily. We can get a transcript from our video with auto-generated captions. Making sense so far?
Yeah, I'm following you. And it kind of highlights some things that I kind of glossed over, I think, in the example here. But look at this. Like, we do have speaker labels here. And that just comes
right.
What we're going to be looking into is from the result of the transcript that begins, at least in Mux territory.
Right, yeah. So speaker labels are going to be step 2. Mux actually doesn't provide you with speaker labels yet. I don't know. Mux will definitely provide us with a transcript. So let's start with the transcript, and we'll go on to the speaker labels for step 2.
Okay, so what's my job?
Your job is going to be, right now we want to upload a video to Mux with generated captions. Do you have access to a Mux dashboard right here?
A Mux dashboard. Let's see if
that's right.
In here. There we go.
Nice.
Let's go delete me.
Delete me, my favorite environment. And let's go to the asset create page.
Video assets. Okay, create a new asset.
Nice. Yeah. So, and then enable auto-generated captions. Easy. So when you create a video in Mux, whether you're uploading it from S3 or Google Cloud, or whether you're directly uploading it from your client's device, you have the possibility to pass an option called generated subtitles.
Yep, I see it right there.
Yep, and when you pass that option, Mux will generate subtitles.
Okay, so I don't know if this demo file has any speech in it, but I probably need a video with some talking head. So maybe I'll go this route here, and hopefully I can find one easily.
Something on your computer.
Let's find out.
Surprise! I could have prepared you better for this. Why are we generating subtitles, by the way? Because we can turn subtitles into a transcript, right? If Mux gives us all the words in the video, we can just take the words from Mux and turn it into some text that we plot below our video. So once you upload a video, nice.
I don't know what the copyright. Look, this is Larry. Maybe I used this one before. It's a little clip from a speech that's on YouTube. I don't think I'm running into any copyright issues here, but Larry, give me a call. Please give me a call because I want to talk to you about writing. But let me know if there's an issue here. Just spreading your good word. Okay. View asset. Do
Yeah.
I need any of this information here, Dar?
No. I think we're gonna use a different video for like the actual like jumping into it. I just wanted to show the Mux dashboard experience.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nice. And when you hit view asset, Mux is gonna take some time to watch your video and transcribe it. Under the hood, it's using OpenAI's Whisper model to do this transcription. We have some really interesting blog posts on how we implemented that. If you're like super interested in Whisper or whatever, definitely like dig in. We have a lot to say on running it on CPUs versus GPUs, so on and so forth. It's all in the
And we're
blog.
calling this a track, right? That's this one right here. So I went from
track ready.
The video uploaded or ASA was created, was ready 2 seconds later, and then 10 seconds later it's transcribed. Is that
10 seconds? Love it. Nice. And if you hit play on the video up top, does it have captions? Look at that. Mux auto generated some captions.
amazing?
Cool. Let's do one more thing with this asset as long as we have it pulled up. We're going to want to grab that subtitle track and we're going to want to transform it, right? So how do we grab the subtitle track from Mux? Dave, I think... No, I'm not going to put you on the spot. I really want to, but I'm not going to.
What's the problem?
No. If you
Challenge me.
Do you know off the top of your head? I have the answer, by the way. How to grab a text track from a Mux asset?
How to grab? Do you mean like programmatically or?
Yeah, programmatically. If you want to download the subtitles.
Enlighten me, Dar. I don't want to just guess at you.
Nice. Head back to the blog post. Let's grab you a little code snippet. So Mux generated the subtitles for us. Now what we want to do is grab the subtitles in our code. And to do that, you can just use this endpoint. We have an endpoint that just lets you pull the subtitle track. And you can get those numbers from your dashboard. So let's go ahead and do that.
That's right. Okay, so we have this kind of static URL it's dynamic based off of the variables that are associated with that asset, but you have this predictable, at least, URL for where the text track is going to live.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, it'd be kind of cool to just be able to copy that URL from right in here. For any of the PMs watching. Okay. So we are going to look for those asset. We have the what were the two we're looking for here?
Yeah, you got the playback ID there at the top, and then the asset ID is going to come from the same screen that you're just on. If you go ahead and click on the text track, there's a little arrow on the right side of the...
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, you can get the track ID.
Track ID. Okay, so
we're doing this in the dashboard right now, but you can do this all in code as well.
Yeah, let me just do like a new...
There you go.
Where can I make sure to put a new scratch pad down here? It's a little janky, but here we go.
Nice. And you're only sharing your browser, so.
Oh, okay, good. Although you would have missed out on some good music recommendations. You did miss out
when you were looking for that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Public playback ID is going to go here, and I'll share this URL in a second. And then track ID.
Yeah, and if you were doing this in code, you could use the Mux Node API or the SDK. You can use any of our SDKs. We have an Elixir SDK. We have a Go SDK. Do we have an Elixir SDK? We have a Python SDK. You can use any of the SDKs to go ahead and grab the playback ID and the track ID and construct this URL yourself. And what is in that URL?
Boy, oh boy. Okay, so this is obviously not meant to be readable in any way. So it is kind of like programmatically first, right? But we have this we have the playback ID here where that variable was, and then the text track ID over here ends in the VTT. And if I visit this, we get a download.
Downloads.
If you saw that.
Okay, well, since you're sharing your browser, actually, can you open that VTT track in your web browser?
Let's find out.
That way you don't have to share something new.
Uh-oh.
Maybe just rename it to like a TXT.
Oh, goodness. Yes, I can. I can do anything. Whiz. Use TXT. Okay. The internet is depending on my performance right now. I don't know, man. Let's see. Arc. Oh, there we go.
There it is. This is a web VTT file. This is where subtitles come from. Go ahead and maybe zoom that in a little bit too. Nice. Yeah. So what do we see here? We see a certain point in time, and we see some data that's attached to that point in time. You know, in many ways, this web VTT is actually almost a list of CuePoints. We just need to do a little bit of transformation on it, don't we?
Interesting. I think I see where you're going with this. Okay, so we have some times delineated. We have the text associated with that time, and there's also like ranges going on here too, right? So they're saying from here to here, this is what's being said. I mean, I guess maybe I'm just going too deep on how closed captions are or subtitles.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. And you can actually attach like comments in here. You can add like styles and stuff, but we don't need to worry about any of that stuff right now. All we care about is the text and the time range. So go ahead and grab this URL and let's go to a programming environment.
Okay, so I do have, I believe I have that URL copied. Let me just double check here. Okay. All right. And programming environment, what easier way do you know of? Do I know of that we can spin that up with the remaining time we have than Valtown, which I think is like, I have limited use, but I do know that it's a server side environment where we can do some interactions with not only client code, but server code.
Yeah, I like to think of this as like code sandbox for like quick and dirty node scripts.
Okay.
Like just super simple. All you can like you can like create a quick little endpoint. And actually that little green button at the top, create new. Like why don't we get started by creating a new endpoint?
HTTP request?
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if that's like the best one. Cool. So we have a little request and response. So we want to create an endpoint here that's going to turn our Mux video into CuePoints. So I think the first thing that you're going to need there is a URL that you just created earlier. I don't know if you still have that on your clipboard.
I sure do.
Cool.
My text track.
And then next thing we're going to do is fetch that, and then we're going to transform it. So
wait, did it just actually recommend? It did a little like Copilot suggestion thing, didn't it?
Yeah. It's got Copilot built in. That sounds cool.
Oh, amazing. Okay. All right. So wait, I want that one back. 1 out of 7. Fetch. Okay.
Whoa.
Maybe.
Let's grab it as a text, not an array buffer.
Maybe.
Sweet. And then let's just make sure that my texty text track. Go ahead and stick my texty text track into the response JSON, and let's take a look at it and see if this is working the way we expect.
Okay.
Nice.
Check it.
Hit save and preview at the top, and
we have some transcribing.
Nice.
I guess some
cool.
captions.
Step 1, we got the web VTT. Step 2, let's translate it into a format that we can recognize. Parsing web VTT is actually like a really deep topic that I don't really want to get into. Browsers are really good at it, but we are working in Node right here. So we don't have access to a browser. So we're going to lean on a library called Subtitle. So at the top, let's go ahead and import Subtitle. In fact, let's import a module called parse sync from Subtitle. It's going to be a curly bracket.
Sync from... Come on, guess it right, baby.
From Subtitle. Nice. And because we're in Dino, we need to tell, like, we're not npm installing, but we need to tell it that it can grab Subtitle from npm. So do that by putting an npm : before Subtitle. I don't know much about Dino, but it's been really fun to play with. There you go.
Okay.
So that's going to go ahead and quote unquote npm install Subtitle for you, and it's going to give you your parse sync library. Let's use parse sync. Let's use parse sync to parse the VTT nodes. Or the VTT from your text track, yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. Let's go ahead and console log that so we know what it looks like.
Yeah, why not?
Or yeah, save and preview, whatever. Maybe pretty print to make it easy to read. There's a little checkbox. See, isn't that nice? Cool. Okay. Looks like it turned our VTT into a nice JSON object. And look at that. It's basically CuePoints, right?
Okay, cool. So this subtitle, this is a nifty little utility that I don't know that I've ever actually used that one before, but it did a lot of the what I would imagine is kind of like arduous work of figuring out how to generally manually do this and just kind of abstract it away to a simple function, which, man, open source is the best.
Yep. So we basically have what we need to pass to Mux Player. We just need to make a small transformation on it, and then we can pass it straight to Mux Player, and we can create that interactive experience that we showed off at the beginning of the post. Now, we're not going to really be doing the UI work. Again, if you want to build the UI, check out Christian's post from last year. Super good. We'll make sure it'll have it linked in places.
Amazing. Okay, so what needs to change here?
Yeah. Last thing we want to do is transform it. The first thing that I would want to do is do like my parsed VTT and then filter it so that the node.type is a queue. Nice.
My parsed VTT filter. Node
Node.type
is queue.
Cool.
Okay, so and we're seeing that here. What other types are in here that we have to be worried about? Is it? I see a header.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Okay.
I'm
This
not.
is like a
I spent a lot of time reading the like web VTT specs and everything, and it all just like slid out of my brain. All I know is queues are what we want.
Okay, so we're not actually quite in Mux Player queues yet. So I'm just going to my queues.
Yeah, and then to make it a Mux Player queue, you need a start time and an end time and a value.
Okay, and we do have those here, right? These we have the start data, but it's just not in the exact format that we need.
Exactly. Okay. Start time, we need to transform that from milliseconds to seconds. End time, we need to transform from milliseconds to seconds. And text, we need to transform that into a field called value.
Okay, well, I know how to add and subtract, but that's where my math stops. So
nice. Divide by 1,000.
Yeah, look at that. Okay, cool.
So start time is node.data.start over 1,000.
Node data start over 1,000.
Nice. Same thing for end time.
End time. And whoa.
Nice. Good job. That's exactly correct. Oh, it's going to be value, not text.
Node.
Yeah, you're getting squiggles. You're getting squiggles because your syntax is off by a little bit. Go ahead and wrap lines 11 through 15 in parentheses. Those curly brackets.
15. Oh, this. Boop.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. And then instead of text, make that value. And then
node data. Oh, this right here?
Line 14. Yeah.
Value.
This is, I mean, coding can be an immensely gratifying, creative outlet. But honestly, a lot of coding is just transforming one type of data into another type of data. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're starting off with today before we get to the fun.
I describe myself professionally as a digital plumber. So I follow you there. Well, what's we going on here with this squiggly comma expected?
Oh, I think you need one more closing parenthesis on line 15.
15.
Cool.
Oh, gosh, save the day. Okay.
Let's check that out.
Save and preview. Oops, I should probably like preview
the correct thing. Yeah.
The actual keys here.
Cool. This is an object that you can pass to Mux Player. And Mux Player will tell you when the CuePoints change, and you can sync up your UI. Super cool.
Sweet. So yeah, this really wasn't too much of a transformation away from that library. I wonder, maybe there's some room to even make that even simpler with some. Speaking out loud, we should take some notes for some helpers in the Mux node library. But this is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or maybe even build like a little CuePoints API.
Yeah, I like your thinking. Okay.
If there's any PMs watching.
Okay, so moving on here. So we have our queues. We would stick these right into Mux Player, and it would be associated with those values. But would it show up in any way?
No, not in Mux Player. No. The only thing this will do is Mux Player can notify us when we go to each queue. So, hey, currently what's being spoken is he thinks writing is like this, and then whatever, so on and so forth. What you'll also want to do, and this is up to your UI, it depends on whatever your blog post you're writing or whatever, you're going to want to iterate through all these values and kind of format them. And that's stuff that we cover in Christian's blog post.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Dar. Well, this is all great, but the investors are demanding there's no AI here.
Well, actually, there is, right? Because we used Mux's auto-generated captions to generate this, and it uses Whisper under the hood, which is just dramatically better than anything else that we've tried before.
That's
and faster,
true.
10 seconds, right?
So how do we, when we think about like the actual workflow, so Mux is leveraging some AI under the hood, but when we want to like take this information that we have natively, we transform it a little bit. What else can we do to kind of level up the interaction here and make this even better?
Dave, thank you for asking. You prompted me so well. So this will give us a transcript, right? But it's just going to be one big fat block of text. If you're reading something, especially something that has multiple speakers, you're going to want to know who's speaking and maybe like create some space between the speakers to make it kind of easier to read. So you know when Dave's speaking or you know when Chris is speaking, stuff like that. So to do that, we're going to need to perform a process called speaker diarization. Speaker identification. It's not impressing anybody here, just labeling our speakers.
I was impressed.
Mux does not support speaker identification, so we're going to use a third-party service called Assembly AI.
Okay, I've heard of Assembly, but I haven't used this one before. But I've seen like the granular.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, let's check this out really quick. Assembly. I must have been here at some point. Okay, voice data into transcripts. So all kinds of models and
summaries.
Helpers of sorts to take your content and do more with it.
Yeah, not the only product that does this, but of all the ones that I tried, this was definitely one of the really good ones.
Yeah, and one of them I'm remembering now. It was the granularity in which you're also able to associate timestamps with. It was like per word or something like that.
Yeah,
so
they return an enormous amount of data about audio files that you're sending to them.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go.
So we want to send an audio file to Assembly AI. To do this part, instead of using your uploaded transcript, let's use one that I created, because your video only has one speaker, right?
That's right.
I went ahead and pre-cooked, and I have a video for you that has multiple speakers.
Like a good chef does.
Please hold.
Wait, I spoke too soon.
While I do this, if you've got my blog post, you can start setting up the Assembly AI client.
Let's look. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Dar's fantastic blog post where he does talk about somewhere in here. We did the WebTT. We got the subtitle library. There's the results. We did our transformation. And here, there it is all together. All right, we're still scrolling. Oh, there, I see Assembly AI. Okay, here we go. Look, boop. Copy. And let's just go down here. Boop. I don't know if the sound effects are built in, so I have to make them on my own. The Assembly AI library, we need to import that. So I'm going to just kind of guess here that it's... Wait, come back. Did it work? Did that work? Maybe it's real. We'll find out. Okay, so we have a new library passing an API key. I'm just totally guessing right now. We'll find out. And yeah, we have speakers. So here, this looks like a custom made object where A, we're calling Matt, and B, we're calling Nick. So if there's two speakers in this particular video, and I wonder how that works. Maybe you'll fill me in here. But then we're making the API call over to Assembly AI with the link to the audio URL. And I'm guessing these two are, hey, we need to make sure that what you return includes the speaker labels and that there's only going to be two people talking in this. So don't try to make a wrong guess. Maybe that's like a hint here. Like you can never return more than two labels.
You're doing pretty good. You described it pretty well so far. I'm going to ask you to make one small change to the code. two changes to the code, and then we'll go through again and talk about what's going on. The first thing I'm going to say is in line 19, because we're using Dino here, you don't actually access process.env. You're going to do dino.env.get.
Okay, here we go.
That's going to be capital D as well.
Get what? You're right. Dino, get, boom.
Nice. You got it. Thing one. And then thing two, playback ID, right? So like I said, I pre-cooked a video. I went ahead and pasted it in our private chat, a playback ID that you can grab. I don't know if you've got that handy.
I do. Oh, you also said something really nice about me in that private chat. Thank you.
Would never say that in public.
Here we go. Okay.
Cool. So this is a video interview between Matt and Nick of Matt from Mux and Nick of Uscreen. I went ahead and uploaded it. It's about a minute long clip. So the last thing I noticed when you were going over, you were a little confused by the speakers object. Think about it. This AI is going to listen to our video, but it doesn't know who's talking unless you have a clip at the beginning of your video where Matt says, "I am Matt," and Nick says, "I am Nick." It doesn't know who's who, so it's going to assign letters. The first person who speaks is A, the second person who speaks is B. So we're going to give it a little bit of a cue here, and we're just going to, right off the bat, say speaker A is Matt and speaker B is Nick.
Interesting.
So does this, you're going to have to pass in somehow.
Does that order matter? Like you want to put in, if Matt speaks first in this audio, then he needs to be A. That's
right. Yep.
Okay.
Order doesn't matter. Yeah. And here's the thing, like AI tools can really make our lives easier. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with them. But ultimately they're most powerful when there's a human in the loop. So this is like, we want to give it as many cues as we can going in to the problem so that it can give us the best result out. So yeah, this is a great example of human in the loop. One more thing that I should mention, line 28, speakers expected. Off the top of my head, I don't think Assembly AI does anything with that data unless your video is longer than 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes. You should double check me on that. And then if it is longer than whatever 2 minutes, it'll use that data to kind of transcribe the video more quickly. Cool. All that being said, let's see what Assembly AI does with our audio URL. Oh yeah. Dave, where does that audio URL come from? You know enough about Mux.
Where does the audio URL come from?
Yeah, like, so we uploaded a video. Why are we grabbing audio? And like, do we need to do anything special to get that audio URL? Do all videos have audio that you can grab like that?
What's amazing is that the assets that are uploaded to Mux have audio only deliverables as well that you can access in a similar way. That's kind of this like static / dynamic URL format where you are inserting here. Is this the asset ID? I think it's the asset ID. Here's the playback ID.
That's the playback ID, yeah.
Playback ID. And can pull the audio by just changing the end of that URL.
That's right. However, not all assets are going to have this. You need to explicitly enable this either when you create the asset or you can update it after the fact. To do that, we have a whole guide on docs about enabling static renditions.
Yeah, don't trust me. Go to the guides. Okay.
We have awesome docs. They're way better than Dave and me right here.
Well, sometimes. Okay. Sometimes. All right. So we have a Assembly AI transcribe, the API calls we made here. Should we log this out? It looks like it wants us to. I don't know if this is the actual format for it, but it looks like
I don't know about .text. Oh yeah, there is .text. Why don't you just log out the whole object?
All right.
Either log it out or like return it in the response so we can take a look at it down below.
Okay, and we don't need this one anymore. So let's go. Let's just hit big blue, command enter.
This video is about a minute long. Assembly AI is fast. Really fast, but it's still going to take a hot sec to go ahead and listen to the audio that we uploaded and create a transcript.
Okay. Oh, and then one little mini gap, I think maybe it's assumed here, but this environment key, this AI API key comes from their dashboard, and we configured the Valtown environment with that value so we could pull it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have an Assembly AI account, and it is currently what you're hitting right there. They have a great free tier too. I think they recently changed it. Check out that object. Cool. So this is it's. I think you're looking at an object right now of words. Yeah. Literally every single word that is in this like minute and a half clip, and who it thinks is speaking. And if you scroll down to the bottom, I don't think we need to see every single word. Oh, look, 10 seconds. That's not bad. Ah, it looks like it was truncated.
Yes.
Cool. Backup plan. Go to the blog post.
Okay. Blog post.
Yeah, there, utterances. So it'll tell you every single word and who it thinks is speaking. It'll also give you an object called utterances. An utterance is a continuous block of speech. When you pause for a long time, one utterance ends and another utterance begins. When speakers switch, one utterance ends, another utterance begins. This utterances array is going to be very helpful for the next step.
Cool. I worry for me, my utterances array would be extremely long. I'd take a lot of time in between thoughts. So it won't work with my video content as much.
Nice. And actually, let's before you hop into code, let's take a look at that object really quickly. This is once again just like earlier. This is basically CuePoints, right? We have a start point, we have an end point, we have text, and now we have a speaker. So we could just jam that all in CuePoints and create a transcript. However, we could do that right now, but actually, maybe in the interest of time, we could skip to the next step. Yeah, see right there, we could just create like a little transformation and turn our utterances into CuePoints.
I see. So this is basically the same thing we were doing before, but we're instead of a single value, we have an object as a value with those two different, the speaker and the text here.
Right. And now because we have both speaker and text, we can label each utterance in our transcript with a speaker, which is great. That being said, you might remember when we were looking at the transcript earlier, there was a lot of granularity. It was like every 3 or 4 or 5 words were a cue. Meanwhile, here there's only like 2 cues, right? That's not a lot of cues. So if you prefer shorter cues, instead of using the utterances object that we just talked about, we can once again generate a VTT file like we did earlier. So I think that's what we should do. Let's use assembly AI to generate a VTT file. Yeah. Go ahead and run that line.
So I'll copy this one then. Go back over.
So why are we using assembly AI's VTT instead of our own VTT? Instead of Mux's VTT? The reason we're using assembly AI's subtitles rather than Mux's subtitles is because we want the speaker timestamps to line up perfectly with the assembly AI timestamps. So like if Mux listens to a video, it might give slightly different timestamps than assembly AI. So it's better to just kind of keep everything in one service.
Yeah, and maybe this is a good example of like where things could possibly improve with AI moving forward, where there's like a little more consistency and a little more trust, at least from a developer standpoint, that hey, you have all the data. Can't you confirm it in some way through the APIs that we're using here? But I don't think we're there yet. So that's a good idea. I think stick with one service.
Yeah, one AI talking to another AI. So here, oh look, I think actually CuePoint or Copilot's giving you the next step. I would accept that suggestion. So now instead of using Mux's VTT, we're going to use assembly AI's VTT to do the exact same thing we did earlier. Oh, we still want to keep that. You can see the transcript is getting passed.
You're right. Okay. Okay. So cool. What is this yelling at here? Oh, that's redefined.
Yeah. You can comment out all the Mux code we did in part 1, right? Because now we're using assembly AI to do that work for us.
There we go.
Also, no need for filtering anymore, I don't think.
Filter this guy and this guy.
You know what'll be easier actually? Why don't you head back to the blog post and copy paste that code block? Okay. Yeah, that one right there.
All right, let's go here. You're right. That's a little wordy.
And we can talk about what changes we made here.
Okay. Cool. So what's happening?
It's kind of really similar to what we did earlier with Mux, right? We're getting a VTT file. We're getting a captions file. This time we're getting it from assembly AI instead of from Mux. We're turning it into CuePoints. And there's an interesting little difference on line 38 and 39. On line 38 and 39, it's kind of one big statement. We are... Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what those red dots are. You could probably delete those.
I think that was on my screen for a second. I thought I had like bugs.
Whoa. No, that's just a trailing white space. It's a bug from our code block. Cool. What are we doing in line 38, 39? We are looking for the first. You remember that? Oh yeah, right there. You've got it. You've got it in your logs right there. We have a speaker assigned to every single word, right? So now we need to use that big words object and look up what speaker is speaking each cue. Does that make sense?
Look up what speaker is speaking each cue. We need to know, we need to differentiate and kind of sort them into buckets is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, we have this big subtitles track though, right? But subtitles don't have speaker information. So we have a subtitle and we have a list of words. So we go to this subtitle, look through our list of words, find the first word in that subtitle, and use the speaker data from over here and put it over here. It's kind of abstract.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a merge is what.
Yeah. What we're doing here is merging our speaker data with our subtitle data.
Yeah, I'm following you here. Okay, so we
Nice.
have,
And you got one in 45 as well, one of those little red dots.
what?
At the end of the day, what you're getting is you're getting the short cues from your subtitles and the speaker data from Assembly AI.
Okay,
Let's print this out. Make this a little bit less abstract.
Yeah, let's take a look here. CuePoints.
As you can see, all this stuff's coming from the blog post. So if you're interested in replicating these yourself, check out that blog post. Really dig into the details.
All right, we're running. I don't know.
Another 10 seconds for Assembly AI to run the job.
It's kind of interesting. All right. So what are we seeing?
Console log. Did you console log out the Assembly AI object?
I sure did. I sure did, bud. Let's do it again. I wonder why it's running too. That's interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't really know what's going on. Sweet. We got a speaker and we've got text.
Yeah.
Magic code there.
Okay, so this is way more clear when you see the end result. We have for each little utterance, we're seeing the start time of that, the end time of that, which we can then kind of provide to Mux Player. And then the metadata, again, associated with that CuePoint. And this is kind of interesting to me too, is that the metadata doesn't have to be a flat value. It can be an object. So it can be bigger or like whatever you need to throw at this thing,
yep.
it can accommodate, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Mux Player will accommodate that data. And then, if you're a web developer, you can take any object and turn it into any beautiful UI. So format this however you like. We've got some tips on formatting too in the blog post for the full information.
Awesome.
All right.
Hit me.
Last 8 minutes. There's one thing we haven't done here, right? We've gotten a transcript from our captions track. We've labeled our speakers. But if you're actually reading a blog post, if a speaker goes on for a long time, you're going to want paragraph breaks, right? A blog post is different than spoken text. In spoken text, sometimes you pause, sometimes you don't, whatever. It just kind of runs on for a little bit like I'm running on right now. In a blog post, you want nicely formatted paragraph breaks. And to do that, I think a really good tool for the job is GPT-4o. GPT-4o, ChatGPT, as so many of us now know, is really good at formatting text. You can throw it something you wrote, and it'll give you kind of suggestions. Here's a really good example. Check out that screenshot right there. You can see Nick kind of goes on there for a while, and it would be really, really nice to have a paragraph break in there. Let's scroll through the blog post and talk about what we're doing here line by line so that we can get this in the time that we have left.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So to do this, we're going to feed our CuePoints object to ChatGPT, and we're going to ask ChatGPT, hey, can you add some paragraph breaks here where they make sense? Make sense?
Okay, so wait let me, we're kind of looking
a lot of code here.
A lot right here. So let's break this down a little bit more concretely.
Section by section.
Here, this is just simply the OpenAI SDK, and we're kind of familiar with that, with what we just did. We're instantiating that, basically saying, hey, we are going to be making some interactions with OpenAI. And then here is the actual call, right? And here's that content that you're talking about, or the prompt, I guess we can call it. Is that, hey, let's give some context here. What is going to be associated with what we're looking for as our output, and you wrote all this. That's basically like, hey,
It took
heads
me like a
up.
day to write that. Yeah.
This is coming at what, here's what we're giving you and here's what we need back. And then like, you've probably seen these other results that other people have used before, where you sometimes have to like threaten to put it in timeout, or like tell it to, if it doesn't perform well, you're going to lose your job or something, so that it like really takes your thing seriously. But this is where, again, maybe some rough around the edges, where hopefully you need to validate, or hopefully you get the results you're looking for, but you still at this stage need and should validate that your responses are getting are provided in that format that you're expecting, and maybe even that they're here, like in this case, going to visually meet the expectations for what you are trying to accomplish in your UI. But that's what we're doing with Zod, right? Zod is basically allowing us to define what our expected output should look like, and then eventually pass that output so that it can let us know if there's any sort of issues. Or maybe you have it even here a little bit differently up front before you even pass it here. What's your implementation looking like here?
Yeah, let me give you let me kind of fill out what you said a little bit there. You're definitely correct. One of the biggest challenges with AI tools is that they are creative, right? You do not get the same output for the same input. They're not, deterministic or whatever. They're probabilistic. And we have a couple tools at our disposal to kind of make the output a little bit more tame. The first tool is what you have highlighted there. It's a new feature that they recently added to GPT-4o called output structured outputs. So one thing we can do is we can demand from ChatGPT, hey, your output has to look like a JSON object that I can parse and code. This means that anything that comes out of ChatGPT, I can safely use in my code. So what we're doing here is we're using Zod. Zod is a way of defining schemas. It's type safe. It's really cool. You should check it out. I'm not going to go into it too much, but Zod's just a tool to tell ChatGPT, you must answer me in this format.
I see. Okay. This is cool. This is new for me. Before, the way that I would do it is just basically validate the response once you get it back. But they're kind of taking that off of your shoulders now.
Exactly.
To just say like, you give them the format and then they'll make sure to give it to you in that response. That's nice.
That's right. So that's thing number one that you can use. Tool number one. Tool number two is temperature. Temperature is a measure of creativity. The lower the temperature, the less creative ChatGPT is, and the more like boring it is. Sometimes you want creativity if you're looking for a prompt or a picture. Sometimes you don't want creativity. Here you want slightly less creativity because all we're asking for is for line breaks. That's a relatively standard task, and it's kind of consistent. Like you can approximately tell where a line break should be. The only creativity that's required in this task is creatively inferring when there's a topic change or something like that. So we want a little bit, 0.7 was a number that I experimented with. And really, like, I'm not a prompt engineer. I'm not like a whatever. Like I did a lot of trial and error to get to these numbers. And when you implement these features yourself, you might find that different numbers work better for your content. So that's tool number two. Tool number three is the prompt itself. To get the output that you want out of the model, you have to ask it very nicely. So here I'm describing what is going into the model. I'm describing what it's used for, and I'm describing the task. Inserting paragraph breaks when the speaker changes. And it took, like I said, a whole day for me to get to this. I'm not a prompt engineer. If you have suggestions of a better prompt, check out this prompt in the blog post and shoot me suggestions. After all this asking and pleading, though, I found that ChatGPT started relatively consistently giving me line breaks, and those line breaks looked like the next code block down below.
Yeah, so we're seeing this. This is basically the reformatted or adjusted value from what was provided, and throwing those line breaks in like you're describing here.
And if you scroll down to the screenshot, you can see what it looks like.
Aha, better.
Super cool. We have a transcript, which we got from an AI transcription. We have speaker labels, which we got from speaker diarization service. And we use ChatGPT to add paragraph breaks. 3 separate uses for AI that all kind of ended up being relevant here. I am not an AI fanatic. I'm a little skeptical, but it's crazy how useful it has been over the course of this task. There's kind of 2 little extra bits that I want to add on to the end here while we still have time. The first is what you scroll down to, right? If you want this to run automatically, you're going to want to attach it to Mux webhook. When Mux does stuff, like upload a video or something like that. It'll fire a webhook, right? You can listen to these webhooks on your infrastructure. So your server can listen to Mux and your server can run code. So you can say, hey, Mux, tell me when there's a new video. When there's a new video, I'm going to run all this AI stuff. And that's kind of what we're describing here. That's thing number one. And thing number two, I've said time and time again, these services are AI based, they're creative, they're fallible. There's a lot that you can do to limit the output to what you want it to be. But at the end of the day, it's still unpredictable. And so you're going to want some sort of way to edit it before you publish it. You don't want the stuff going out automatically. We store the stuff in our CMS, like in that screenshot down below. And we can kind of, yeah, the next screenshot on the blog post. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so we can add line breaks, we can edit the speaker labels, stuff like that. So,
yeah, and that's one that I feel like, I don't know, maybe will always be true, but like I gained this trait from my father, who was a perfectionist. He's a home remodeler, and things are only right if they're done his way. Maybe that's me, and maybe it's to a fault, but I like to know that what's going out to the world is the representation that I have in mind, right? And so having these tools in place to be able to go in, make some tweaks and changes to make sure it meets your expectation, especially, or your users' expectations, honestly. Like, we've got to make sure that this is being presented in a way that's helpful and not confusing, or not living up to the standard of that. Maybe it doesn't match the rest of your brand, whatever. So I like this to be able to like go in and make that final, mile, half mile or whatever, to have those changes, but generally leverage AI in a way that does, like this did, there's any way you look at it, save us some time, save us some shortcuts. There's some shortcuts that are being taken here. So that this is definitely an interesting application of it all.
yeah, it's a pretty routine task, but it's a routine task that's hard to automate because you don't know where speakers are, you don't know what a paragraph break is, but with a little bit of creativity from that AI, you can take off a lot of the work off your shoulders. Double check it before it goes out, and I think this is a great application.
Dar, I think you're a great application.
Thanks, Dave. It's very sweet.
You're
okay too.
Starius, all Starius. Hey, that's all we got today. Time's up. Maybe we'll do some more of these in the future for some AI example workflows, but thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this is some valuable information for you, and we'll see you in the next live stream. Sound good, Dar?
Bye.
Starius.